All right, so get this. Today's deep dive takes us straight into Donald Trump's head.
Oh, yeah?
Back in 2020.
Right.
His interview with Joe Rogan.
Yeah, the Joe Rogan Experience.
Talk about a source.
Episode, what was it, 2219, I think?
2219.
Yeah, something like that. But it really is
no filter here.
kind of a time capsule.
Straight to the source.
We're catching him right in the middle of that 2020 campaign against Biden.
And so our mission, I guess, is to break down
Yeah.
some of Trump's key points.
Absolutely.
His governing style.
Yep.
Some of those opinions he's known for.
Of course.
And even a few eyebrow-raising claims.
Oh, yeah, he's got plenty of those.
But of course, we got to keep things balanced.
Totally balanced.
No endorsements from us.
No endorsements.
Just pure exploration.
Just trying to decode the man behind the headlines.
Yeah.
It's not about agreeing or disagreeing.
Exactly.
It's about trying to figure out the why behind his words.
Right. Okay, so Trump kicks off this interview describing the transition from businessman to president.
Right.
And he makes it sound like stepping onto another planet.
He does. He talks about just the shock of it all.
Yeah.
Like you go from, building towers one minute to facing global crises the next.
Wow.
And, that outsider perspective that he brings is really key.
Right.
I think to understanding his whole approach to governing, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's like he brought his boardroom tactics to the Oval Office.
Yeah.
He even shares this story about his first time in the Lincoln bedroom.
Oh, really?
Getting emotional.
Wow.
Over historical artifacts.
Kind of unexpected.
It's very much so. We often see that brash exterior, but this is a little glimpse into his reverence for American history.
Right.
It adds a layer of complexity to his persona.
Okay, and then he dives into governing.
Yeah.
And he makes it sound like a constant fight for survival.
He does. He really does.
I mean, impeachment inquiries.
Right off the bat. A whirlwind of 10,000 appointments.
Oh, yeah.
He's painting himself as the ultimate outsider.
Absolutely battling the swamp.
Battling the swamp.
Classic Trump.
Yeah. And he's surprisingly candid about the downsides of that outsider status.
Yeah.
He admits to relying on recommendations from people he barely knew.
It's true.
Leading to some personnel blunders.
Which he admits.
He does.
Yeah, he even says he picked some based on liking them.
Really?
Rather than deep expertise.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting that he admits to that.
I know, right?
Do you think that points to a certain impulsiveness in his decision-making?
Could be, or maybe.
Or maybe overconfidence in his gut instincts.
Yeah, maybe overconfidence in those gut instincts.
Yeah.
It's worth pondering for sure.
Yeah, and this is where things get even spicier.
Yeah, here we go.
Trump unleashes on neocons.
Oh, boy.
Calling figures like John Bolton
Idiots.
idiots.
Yeah.
Not holding back.
He is clearly harboring some frustration with those he perceived as disloyal or offering bad advice. Yeah, big time. He seems to hold some serious grudges, doesn't he?
Yeah, he brings up how Phil Ruffin advised him against appointing Bolton.
Right.
So he's acknowledging a misstep,
Right.
but also underlining his own decisiveness.
Right.
Once Trump makes a choice,
that's it.
he sticks to it.
He sticks to it.
Yeah, and that ties directly into his communication style.
Oh, yeah. Which is
anything but conventional.
Anything but.
He even boasts about his comedic instincts.
Right.
And how he uses humor to make a point.
He does, yeah.
I mean, that's one way to put it.
It is.
He definitely has a knack for those outlandish, meme-worthy moments.
Totally, yeah.
He talks about his jabs at Hillary, his banter with Elon Musk, his impressions of Biden.
Oh, yeah.
It's all calculated to grab attention.
It is absolutely. He understands the power of entertainment in politics.
Yeah.
And how the media, whether they love him or hate him, they're going to amplify every word he says.
And he even calls out CNN specifically, claiming they pressured people to be negative towards him to get hired or airtime.
Wow.
Yeah, he doesn't hold back.
He does not.
He goes as far as accusing the media of fraud, referencing an allegedly deceptive edit in a Kamala Harris interview on 60 Minutes.
I see.
This deep distrust of mainstream media seems to be a defining feature of his worldview.
It is crucial to understand that distrust.
Right.
Because it informs so much of his rhetoric.
Yeah.
He criticizes fact-checking practices during the debates.
Yeah.
Accuses the media of interfering in the election by pushing negative narratives.
Right.
It's a constant theme.
And it leads directly into his claims that the 2020 election was rigged, robbed,
and
stolen.
Yeah.
He points to alleged irregularities with mail-in ballots, voting machines.
Right.
He even claims to have evidence that judges wouldn't consider.
Wow, heavy stuff.
Heavy stuff.
It really raises a question for us.
Yeah.
How much of this is genuine belief? And how much of this is strategic rhetoric aimed at rallying his base?
Yeah.
It's a line that can be hard to define.
Yeah.
But understanding that interplay is crucial to decoding Trump.
Right. It's like a game of political chess.
Exactly.
And we're trying to figure out his next move.
Right.
Now, he pivots to a topic that gets his blood boiling.
Oh, here we go.
Defund the police.
Oh, boy.
He labels it stupid and dangerous.
Right.
And his reasoning is interesting.
Okay, lay it on me.
He argues that it demoralizes police officers,
Okay.
leading to an increase in unreported crime
I see.
because people lose faith in law enforcement.
Right. It's a classic law and order argument.
Yeah.
Appealing to that sense of security and stability,
Right.
which aligns with his base.
Instead of defunding, he advocates for funding the police.
Right.
Giving them better training,
Yeah.
showing them more appreciation.
That makes sense.
Pretty clear contrast.
Absolutely exemplifies his stance on crime and safety, which he ties directly to a strong economy.
Yeah, and he transitions seamlessly into praising the economic achievements under his watch.
Of course he does.
Historic tax cuts,
Right.
deregulation efforts. He's clearly proud of his record on this.
Yeah, he loves to talk about that.
And he makes a bold claim about tariffs being more effective than income tax.
Oh, really?
Like referencing historical examples.
Like who?
Like President McKinley's Tariff King era.
Sure.
He always has those historical parallels, doesn't he?
He does. It's part of his way of legitimizing his policies.
Right.
Grounding them in a historical narrative.
Yeah, of course he acknowledges criticisms about the increased deficit under his presidency, but blames it on unforeseen circumstances like the COVID-19 pandemic.
Right, so outside forces beyond his control.
It's a pattern, isn't it?
It is.
He takes credit for the successes, but attributes setbacks to external forces.
It's a clever rhetorical strategy.
Very clever.
Allows him to maintain that sense of unwavering confidence, which resonates with his supporters.
Okay, then he tackles environmental issues.
Right.
And his stance, as always, is complex and often contradictory.
That sounds about right.
He boasts about achieving clean air and water.
Okay.
But expresses skepticism about climate change narratives.
Classic Trump.
Yeah. Remember that infamous raking the forest comment?
Oh, yeah?
To prevent wildfires?
How could I forget?
It became a meme.
Yeah, it did.
He also expresses frustration with California's water management.
What does he say about that?
Claiming they have enough water.
Okay.
But mismanage it.
Interesting.
It's like he selectively embraces environmental concerns.
Yeah.
While dismissing others that don't fit his agenda.
It's a delicate balancing act for sure.
Yeah, and it highlights the challenge of trying to categorize his views neatly.
Absolutely.
Okay, then he delves into nuclear power,
okay.
Acknowledging its potential as a clean energy source,
right,
but also emphasizing its dangers.
Makes sense.
He even shares an anecdote about his uncle, a nuclear physicist at MIT.
Wow.
Warning him about the devastating power of nuclear weapons.
I see.
Adds a personal touch.
It humanizes the issue.
Yeah.
Drawing on that family history to make it relatable.
Then he drops this thought bomb.
Okay.
Nuclear warming, meaning the threat of nuclear weapons is a bigger danger than global warming.
Classic Trump.
Classic Trump.
Provocative attention grabbing.
Yeah.
Likely to ruffle some feathers.
Definitely. And it also ties into his America First foreign policy stance.
Right.
And his criticism of what he sees as weak U.S. negotiators on the world stage.
Strength and power projection.
Right.
Recurring themes in his worldview.
It's fascinating how he connects these seemingly disparate issues.
Yeah, he does that well.
Then he expresses concern over the declining health of Americans, pointing to charts comparing the U.S. to other countries on life expectancy and healthcare spending.
I see.
He blames obesity,
diet,
lifestyle choices, and even excessive pesticide use.
Wow.
It's a wide-ranging critique of American society.
It is, and it leads directly into that statement about the enemy within.
Yeah.
Those forces actively working against American success.
Right.
It's a theme that resonates with his narrative of America under siege.
Right.
Both from within and from external forces.
He's painting a picture of a nation in peril.
He is.
And he's positioning himself as the savior.
Of course.
Okay, time for a lighter topic.
Right.
The UFC.
Oh, yeah.
Trump reveals his passion for the sport.
He does. He's a big fan.
Praising Dana White. Habib Nurmagomedov, and analyzing fighter strengths and weaknesses.
He loves that stuff.
It's almost like he's a commentator breaking down the action.
Right. He's got that sort of analytical mind.
He even calls fighting...
What's he call it?
High-level problem solving with dire physical consequences.
Oh, wow.
Drawing a parallel between the octagon and other fields.
That's a unique perspective.
It is.
And it reveals his fascination with competition and dominance.
It's like he sees the world as a giant arena where strength and strategy
are paramount.
Right. And speaking of dominant personalities, he praises Elon Musk for his achievements with SpaceX, Tesla, and Starlink.
Of course.
Emphasizing Musk's support for him during the 2020 election.
It's clear he admires those who disrupt industries.
He does.
And achieve ambitious goals.
Right.
Especially those who defy conventional wisdom.
Right.
And it feeds into his skepticism of government bureaucracy.
Yeah.
And his belief in the power of private enterprise to solve problems.
He even claims that SpaceX's Starlink technology could have solved rural internet access issues.
Really?
More efficiently than government programs. It's a recurring theme.
It is.
Government bad.
Yeah.
Private sector good.
It's a fundamental part of his ideology.
Yeah.
And it informs his approach to everything, from healthcare to space exploration.
Okay, but now he brings us back down to earth.
Oh.
Returning to a topic that's central to his platform.
What's that?
Border security.
Here we go.
And immigration.
Right.
He doubles down on his belief that current policies are harming the country.
Okay.
Repeating claims about the release of criminals from other countries into the U.S.
Right.
Expressing frustration over the alleged lack of control at the border.
Yeah, this is vintage Trump.
It is.
Playing to those fears about national security and the erosion of American sovereignty.
He connects it to his 2020 election claims.
Okay, how so?
Arguing that lax border security could have facilitated voter fraud. It's all part of a larger narrative about a nation under threat.
From both within and without.
From both within and without, exactly.
Right.
Okay, we're going to leave it there for now.
Okay.
But join us next time as we dig deeper into this source material.
That sounds good.
Okay, so we're back diving deeper into that Trump-Rogan interview.
All right.
Last time we kind of left off with some pretty weighty claims about the 2020 election.
Yeah.
Let's unpack those further.
All right.
He didn't hold back on Rogan, did he?
No, he did not.
He starts listing what he sees as major red flags in the election process.
Okay.
And he starts with those mail-in ballots.
Yeah.
He really hammers on their vulnerability to manipulation.
To the manipulation, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, he expresses concerns about security, potential for fraud, highlighting instances where he believes the expansion of mail-in voting bypassed proper legislative channels.
He brings up Wisconsin specifically.
Oh, really?
Claiming they wouldn't grant access to ballots in certain areas because they were unsigned or not original documents.
I see.
It feeds into his broader argument that many election procedures were changed without proper authorization.
I see.
Creating those vulnerabilities he's talking about. And
it's important to note here that these claims have been widely disputed. Numerous investigations and court rulings rejecting allegations of widespread fraud. But for Trump, that belief in a stolen election seems unshakable.
It's become a core part of his narrative, hasn't it?
It really has.
And it raises questions about how this belief might shape his actions and policies moving forward.
It is not just about the past, right?
Yeah.
It's about how this perception shapes his view of the present and future of American democracy.
Right. He doesn't stop at mail-in ballots, though.
Oh, no.
He takes aim at voting machines.
Okay.
Arguing that they're far more expensive than paper ballots. And susceptible to errors and manipulation.
It's errors and manipulation, okay.
Yeah, he even quotes Elon Musk.
Oh, really?
Who apparently said that paper ballots are the only way to ensure a truly honest election.
That's a pretty bold statement.
It is.
And it plays right into Trump's narrative. That the system is rigged against him.
It's interesting how he brings Musk into it.
I know, right?
You know, Musk has this image as a tech visionary. So his endorsement, if you want to call it that, lends a certain credibility to Trump's argument.
It does. It adds weight to his claims. Especially for those who already share his skepticism towards the established order.
Okay, so having outlined all these alleged problems, Trump lays out his proposed solutions.
Okay.
no surprise, he emphasizes voter ID laws,
right,
a return to paper ballots, and stricter controls on mail-in voting.
Okay, so tightening things up.
Yeah, tightening things up.
Interesting.
He frames himself as the guardian of election integrity,
right,
suggesting that if he wins another term, it might be his last.
Really?
Because he feels obligated to fix these issues.
Wow.
For the sake of the country.
That's a powerful appeal.
It is.
To patriotism and a sense of urgency.
He's painting himself as the man for the moment.
Yeah.
The only one who can save America from this perceived threat to its very foundation.
Interesting.
And it ties back to his belief in America's pot of gold.
Right.
Its power and resources, which he believes need to be wisely utilized in negotiations with other countries.
It connects to his overarching worldview.
Yeah.
That belief in American exceptionalism.
Right.
Coupled with a sense that this exceptionalism is under constant attack.
Yeah.
Both internally and externally.
He sees himself as the protector of this pot of gold.
He does.
Fighting off those who seek to diminish America's standing in the world.
Right. A narrative that clearly resonates with a significant portion of the electorate.
It does.
Absolutely.
Tapping into that sense of nostalgia.
Yeah.
For a bygone era of American dominance.
Right.
A time when things seemed simpler.
Right. When America's place in the world was unquestioned.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, shifting gears a bit, Trump circles back to the JFK files.
Right.
And his decision to release them.
Right.
Or at least partially release them.
Partially, yeah.
He reminds us that he was advised by trusted individuals, including Mike Pompeo, to withhold some information due to concerns about national security and the potential impact on living people.
It's like a scene.
It is.
Out of a political thriller.
What secrets do these files hold?
Right.
Why were certain parts deemed too sensitive
to
release?
Yeah, it just fuels the public's fascination.
It does.
With this historical event.
And he adds another layer of intrigue.
Oh, boy.
By suggesting that he might release more information.
Oh, really?
If he wins another election.
Wow.
It's almost like a bargaining chip, isn't it?
It adds another dimension to the story.
Yeah.
Is he dangling this as a reward for his supporters?
Right.
Or is it a genuine concern for national security?
Right.
Impossible to say for sure.
Yeah.
But it's a question that's going to continue to swirl around these files for years to come.
Okay. Then we get a glimpse, albeit a fleeting one, into Trump's thoughts on UAPs. Those unidentified aerial phenomena that have been making headlines lately.
Yeah.
He acknowledges encounters with objects demonstrating capabilities that seem to defy our current understanding of technology.
So he's not denying it.
He's not denying it.
Interesting.
But he doesn't delve into specifics.
Right.
But his acknowledgement that something extraordinary might be happening
is significant given his position and access to classified information.
It's like he's hinting at a deeper knowledge, a hidden truth that he's not quite ready to reveal.
Yeah.
It's frustrating, but also incredibly intriguing.
It plays into that sense of mystery that surrounds him. The idea that he's privy to information that's beyond the grasp of ordinary people.
And it feeds into a growing public fascination with the possibility of extraterrestrial life.
It's a sign of how times are changing.
It is.
And how our understanding of the universe is evolving.
Right.
Trump's willingness to acknowledge the unknown, even in a limited way, reflects this shift in perspective.
Okay, let's bring it back to Earth.
Okay.
Literally, Trump shares his thoughts on the Middle East, a region that's been a focal point of American foreign policy for decades.
Absolutely.
He stresses the importance of strong leadership to prevent further conflict.
Okay.
Criticizes Biden's handling of the region, arguing that it's led to instability and emboldened America's adversaries.
Yeah.
He even goes as far as to claim
What's that?
That he could have prevented the war in Ukraine. Through his relationship with Vladimir Putin.
That's a bold statement.
Bold statement.
Sure to spark some debate.
It reflects his belief in the power of personal relationships on the world stage. And his confidence in his own ability to negotiate with strong men like Putin.
Interesting.
He argues that Putin wouldn't have dared to invade Ukraine under his watch, citing both his personal rapport with Putin and his energy policies that kept oil prices low.
I see.
It's a fascinating glimpse
into
his foreign policy thinking.
It reveals his belief that strength and economic leverage are the keys to global stability.
He seems to admire leaders who project power and aren't afraid to use it to achieve their goals.
A stark contrast to the more diplomatic approach favored by many in the international community.
But that's classic Trump, isn't it?
Classic Trump.
He thrives on challenging conventional wisdom and disrupting the status quo.
It's part of his appeal to those who feel that America has become too hesitant on the world stage, too willing to compromise its interests for the sake of global cooperation.
It's a worldview that resonates with a segment of the population who yearn for a return to a time when America's dominance was unquestioned.
It's a complex and nuanced issue.
It is.
And one that deserves a deeper dive of its own.
Yeah.
But for now, let's move on to another topic.
Okay.
That's central to understanding Trump's political philosophy.
All right, so we've been on this journey through the mind of Donald Trump.
We have.
Via that Joe Rogan interview. And we've covered his governing style. His controversial claims.
Those policy positions.
Those policy positions that get people talking.
That always get people talking.
Now let's kind of zoom out a bit. And consider the bigger picture. What's the impact of Trump's rhetoric? How has he reshaped the landscape of American politics?
It feels like he's changed the rules of the game.
He has.
For better or for worse. That unapologetically blunt, often inflammatory language. It's resonated.
It has.
It's a huge chunk of the electorate.
He's broken the mold of the traditional politician.
He has.
I mean,
for better or worse. You know, he tapped into this deep well of frustration and distrust towards the establishment. And he did it using humor, outrage, and language that anyone could understand.
He connected with people who felt ignored, unheard by the so-called elites.
By the elites, exactly.
He wasn't afraid to challenge norms, to name names, to bend the truth, to fit his narrative.
And that's been both his strength and his weakness.
It has.
Supporters see him as authentic.
A
straight shooter. Tells it like it is. Critics see him as divisive. A demagogue. Who's eroding democratic norms.
It's created this incredibly polarized political climate where facts are constantly up for debate. And emotions run high. It's exhausting, frankly.
And this polarization has spilled over.
It has.
Into every corner of American life. From social media to family dinners.
We're bombarded with information, misinformation.
Opinions.
It's hard to know what to believe anymore.
It is.
So where do we go from here? How do we bridge these divides and find some semblance of common ground?
That is the question. Facing American society today. And honestly, there's no easy answer. It requires a willingness to engage in respectful dialogue, to truly listen to opposing viewpoints, and to think critically about the information we consume.
We have to recognize that there's rarely a simple black and white answer.
Absolutely.
And demonizing those who disagree with us only makes the problem worse.
It does.
We also need to hold our leaders accountable.
We do.
For their words and actions, demand truthfulness, demand transparency, and we have to acknowledge our own biases,
We do.
how they shape our perceptions of the world.
It's a journey, not a destination.
It is.
And it takes effort.
It does.
From every single one of us.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the mind of Donald Trump, what's the key takeaway for our listener?
I think it's the power of language.
You
know, we have to understand how rhetoric can be used to manipulate, to divide, and even to incite violence.
But we also can't forget its power to inspire.
That's right.
To unite, to create positive change.
Absolutely. It's all about being informed, engaged citizens. Holding ourselves and our leaders to a higher standard.
The future of American democracy depends on our ability to communicate effectively. Respectfully and thoughtfully.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
This has been quite a deep dive.
It has.
We've explored some complex and challenging topics.
We have.
And I hope our listener is walking away with more questions than answers.
That's the sign of a truly engaging conversation.
It is.
You know, keep those questions coming. Challenge assumptions. And never stop learning.
Thanks for joining us on this journey.
It's been a pleasure.
Until next time. Keep exploring.
Keep learning.
Keep learning.
And keep asking.
And keep asking those tough questions.